Hey, what's up, vinyl community? Corey here. Going to do a video here with John. We decided to collaborate and get together for a little duo. I know it's been a while since I've had a video uploaded outside of record stores across America, but here we are back. We're going to split this video up. We know we're going to go a little long right up front. So we're just going to split this video up. So the first half is going to be here on my channel, and the second half is going to be over at John's channel called The Record Rack. The link is below. So we just did it. We just want to do a deep dive into 1991 and celebrate the album. So in the meantime, I pulled records, I pulled tapes, CDs, even a VHS tape. And so just want to dive into it and have a lot of fun and just do a little rapid fire, make some comments, and then please join in the comments section below. John, if you want to do a quick introduction and get us started, we'll start rolling and let the madness begin.
Yeah, let's do it. Everybody, John over at The Record Rack. And it was kind of a melting pot at this point, right? You start to see more than just rock and hard rock on the trend, pop, like dance pop on the charts, which there was a lot of. But then you start to see like legitimate hip hop, like some gangster rap, and then of course like some whatever they call that, conscious rap, or like jazz influenced East Coast, like Tribe Called Quest. I mean, you had everything. Michael Jackson released Dangerous that year. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have, of course, all the Seattle bands. They all released super important records that year, but it was a bunch of alt rock had a great showing for that year. A bunch of bands that nobody knew about that kind of got pushed into the mainstream because of the success of Seattle. So everyone's wanting to sign, the next, what have you, next Nirvana or whatever. But yeah, I think there's a ton of different genres that are represented in 91, which is, I never really thought about that until we started pulling stuff for this. I'm like, wow, it's pretty eclectic compared to when you just look a couple of years back, even 1 year back, it wasn't the same.
No, that's a really good point. I thought like just digging through and looking at the different music and looking over the year in music, it's just a lot of stuff going on. And you're right, it was probably about the last of the hard rock metal as it started to dwindle, whether it was grunge or metal or not. After that, the Billboard went a completely different direction. Yeah. And then it's unrecognizable today as far as any kind of love for hard rock and metal.
Right. I mean, what did metal do? Metal, aside from like Pantera, right, or Metallica, those kind of took their own paths. But really, metal went back underground, real metal, like thrash, and they became heavier. Right. And then where we are now, arguably extreme metal, is whatever you want to call it now, is bigger now than it ever was back then. I mean, no one knew anything about those bands. I didn't until later in the 90s. I mean, I guess I had heard about them, but I never thought anything about them. Right.
Yeah, that's another good point, too. Everything that I have to show here is probably half of which I listened to and knew in 91, or was a discovery at some point between 91 and 2021. So yeah, 30 years ago, man, this is it, man. It's 15, 16 years old. And this is a great era to be a part of, man. It's really exciting.
It is. It's ours, man. Yeah, I was 14, you're 16, you're driving at that point, right? Did you get your license at 16?
I just have my temps.
Oh, there you go. I didn't either.
I started driving my girlfriend's car, my dad's car, not a 91, but my dad's car, those kind of things. My first car was a motorcycle that I got when I was 18. So I relied on friends until I turned 18, bought a motorcycle, and that was my first car.
Yeah, I would have got my license 16, but me and another dude stole his dad's BMW. Well, he did. I was in the passenger, and we went on this high-speed chase. We ran from the cops. Like, we're on C470, he's going on like 100. I'm like, we're done. Like, dude, pull over. Pulls over. And so because of that, I wasn't able to get my license till I was 17. Or I could get my license, but I wouldn't be able to drive until I was 17. So because of that.
Yeah, and I did the thing where I wrecked my girlfriend's car when I was 17, completely totaled it. So I got that out of the way, but a much more responsible person now.
Same. Everyone, right, kind of used or abused their girlfriend's car. At least I did.
Hey, I believe in saving the. I wanted to reduce emissions and commute. I was all about commuting with my friends back then. So it was like, hey,
it's the 90s, right?
I was the guy that was calling you up. I was like, hey, can you come pick me, John? Can you come by my house and pick me up? And it's like again. And then it's like, do you have any
Actually,
gas money? I'm like, what do you mean gas money? And then we go to the music store and I whip out a 20, for a new CD. And I'm like, sorry.
sorry, I had to save it. That's hilarious. No, actually, what it would have been, Corey, is you would have paged me and left your code number. So then I would pull over, get out and go, oh, what does Corey want? It says 911 must be important, and get a payphone and then put some money in then and call you. Dude, come pick me up. What? That's what we did anyways. Pagers. Remember pagers?
I didn't have a pager. I remember my buddies having one. I did not want anything to do with it. Dude, I think we got to show a record, man.
Yeah, sorry. We're getting off sidetrack. 1991. All right. Well, let's start. How about you go kick us off?
I'm just going to grab the first one and start going through. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna show a lot of rock and metal, and probably be a lot of standards in here, a lot of classic albums, but also hopefully some few surprises. So this is Pillars of Humanity, Crucified, thrash metal band, or not thrash, but this is more hardcore, kind of like a Suicidal Tendencies. And this is the 20th anniversary reissue that came out about 10 years ago. But
were you aware of these guys back then in 91?
Yes, actually I was. They were in the Christian metal world. And so in the Christian metal world, you pretty much knew about all the Christian metal bands because there wasn't as many. But yeah, definitely rocking out to some Crucified back then.
Right.
I don't have the tattoo though.
Great choice.
Don't have the tattoo. I do not have the Crucified tattoo, but on the reissue, they did a compilation of people that sent in their pictures. That was pretty wild.
What if that was on the original? Have you ever seen?
It's not on the original.
Is there even an original LP, or is it only tape and CD?
I think it's only on tape and CD, and the cover is a little different. It's split 50-50. It looks like a businessman on one half, and then kind of like a corrupt devil on the other side.
Yeah, okay. That's a sweet cover. I like that black and white cover.
Yeah, the new cover is pretty cool.
That's a good comparison. Definitely Suicidal Tendencies. One of those
crossover type era, Controlled by Hate.
All right. Well, here's my first one. And I was aware of this. I didn't have the LP in 91, but I did have the tape and the CD. And this was their first record, and it was also my introduction to them. This is the Smashing Pumpkins with Gish. What can I say about it? This kind of kicked it off they just got bigger and bigger with every album. What some people don't know is Butch Vig did Nevermind. That's what he's famous for, but he also recorded this before Nevermind. And rumor has it that the guys in Nirvana, Kurt and Dave and Chris, and they loved the sound of this record so much. That's why they picked Butch to do Nevermind. Nice. They're like, Pumpkins are like an alt band, he said that time. And so, wow, they can make a great sounding record without being overproduced type of thing, even though it's definitely overproduced, especially from today's standards. It's pretty slick, but it's got some great songs on here. It really kind of showcases Billy Corgan's talent, right? I mean, songwriter, singer, guitar player, how he arranges songs. I mean, he did everything. We didn't know that back then, but we know that now. But
he's like modern day Todd Rundgren.
Yeah, kind of. That's a good comparison. But I think you have my tape because I sent you all my tapes. I know that was in there.
I don't have it ready. So yeah, Gish, that's killer. I didn't know about the Smashing Pumpkins until Siamese Dream. But
as most people.
This encapsulates. Is that even a word? Irregardless. This has a great 90s sound all over it. School of Fish. Love the sound. This probably sounds a little of its time. But this was just great guitars, really good band. I think the singer ended up passing away of cancer, and then the guitar player went on to the Wallflowers, or bass player went on to the Wallflowers. But School of Fish, love their sound, 90s, and I don't know,
that's a good rock band. That's a good rock record.
Yes,
I liked that record a lot.
All right, what's
I guess next? I'm up. Show that one yet? Okay, let's do this one. Okay, at this time, I don't know. I don't know if I had known about this band. If I did, at this point, I didn't have anything from them. I mean, I came to love this record over time, but the Melvins, Bullhead, released in 91. This was their last record for whatever label they were on at the time. I think this is Boner Records, for lack of a better word. But after this, they would sign with Atlantic, and then they're, but you have Houdini, right? And then you have Stoner Witch, and then Stag. And those three were all Atlantic on a major label, and then they got dropped once grunge fell out of fashion, or the bands from Seattle fell out of fashion.
They were never really on Sub Pop.
What's that?
They were never on Sub Pop.
No, Melvin's never. They didn't like the Sub Pop guys. I've heard Buzz doesn't trust anybody. He's a different dude.
Smart.
Yeah, I like him. I like the fact that you never know what their albums are going to sound like. Like, you compare this to the one that came after, they sound like different bands. It's a great record. But I think I became aware of this probably like 98 or 99, right? I knew about Houdini and some of those ones, but I went back and was like, oh, wow. They go all the way back to 84. So
that's insane. And Houdini, when that came out, just blew my mind. And that's what drew me in. Of course, it was a little more accessible.
Video, they're like playing in like a pig pen or in like a farm or something like that.
I mean, they were shaking stuff up. They didn't care. They were creative and very different.
I've seen the Melvins a couple of times. Still to this day, no one has topped the volume of how loud they were. We were in a smaller place, but it was unreal. I couldn't hear properly for like a week.
I love those stories like that.
It was a blast. But
were they on the Deep Six compilation? Is that
they were?
And then who do you remember the label for that? Sorry to just kind of hit you with that.
Yeah, it was CZ. It's basically like a CZ Records was kind of not Jonathan Ponman, Bruce, whatever the other guy's name is who started Sub Pop with Jonathan. That was his. He put that out, and it was just called CZ.
Okay.
But yeah, they were on this. Soundgarden was on this. Malfunction, Green River, right? All those early bands, Skin Yard.
Kind of. Hello, welcome to the world. It's like a Pacific Northwest. Hello, we're here.
Yeah, that was like ground zero for all those bands. I found a copy of that not too long ago, a couple years ago, which I didn't even know one existed because I had the CD, but I didn't get the CD till much later. But yes, I never really thought of the Melvins as grunge. They're just, to me, they're metal. They sound like Captain Beefheart played metal. That's the Melvins. They're weird and they're heavy. You're up.
All right. Something else was going on in 91, right? This a lot of the glam bands, hard rock bands, and then like Great White gets lumped in with the glam metal, but more of the blues hard rock, right? Blues infused. So just kind of what we're going, just kind of taking
kind of
ownership
glammed up at the end of the 80s just to sell records. I would have done it. Right.
Well, I like it. I like glam metal and I like the blues stuff. You know, Cinderella got a little bluesy. Some of the other bands did. And this is a poster, so it's mandatory that we show the poster.
That's right.
On camera. Look at these guys.
You know, it's funny you show that. I think it was probably a month or so ago, but I was in that record store up in Longmont and I was showing you those like 12 by 12.
Yes.
Like promo cards. Yeah, some dude worked for a radio station or a label or something, but he has like Olstat, and they had a bunch of that record, that right there.
Oh, okay.
I think that's a sweet cover. I put that on my wall in a heartbeat.
I had to take this right off my wall. It's on my wall today. But no, Congo Square was the single, and then it had some live tracks on it too. So yeah, like the hard rock was still, going strong in 91, especially early.
I think a lot of those bands like Skid Row, them for sure, of course, Guns N' Roses, they realized like, dude, we don't want to wear mascara and tease our hair and spend all this time. Like we're a band, we're rock bands. Let's focus on the music.
Exactly.
Right. By the time you get to the 90s, like people don't care about that. It's a turnoff. If you spend more time on your look than playing music.
Can you tell what this album is?
Yeah, it's Rush.
Only seeing the peak part of it. This is the reissue. I'm glad this finally came out. But Roll the Bones, Rush had a really good release that year. I remember this being hyped up and stuff all over the record stores for it. And then
I bought it based on that video. I don't think they didn't play it on like Headbangers. Just I don't remember that, but they did. MTV played that video for that song. I always liked Rush. They're one of the bands that, you remember from, at least I do, from the 80s. My dad liked Rush too, so that's probably why.
Yeah, 2112 was in most of the record collections. My brother had it.
Yeah.
And then, but I didn't really, you heard it I heard it on the local classic rock radio
Yeah.
station, right? The Tom Sawyer and all that. But I really didn't get into Rush until I was riding my bike one day and rode past an open garage where some of the older guys were working on a car, and they were like friends of a friend of a friend in the neighborhood.
Right.
And I rolled up and just started listening to Rush because they were playing it in their garage. And like, hey, dude, what are you doing?
Dude, this is
And
cool.
like I'm listening. I was like, "Who's playing?" They're like, "Oh, that's Rush. Come on in," And then
Yeah.
and then they're like, "Hey, you got to go get this tape and go get that tape." And then I did, and then I started getting like really immersed into the Rush rabbit trail there
Dude,
for
I
a
have so
while.
many stories like that from back in those times where you don't know and you feel kind of like scared, like these guys are going to think I'm a clown because I've never heard of this, but they knew, obviously. They're like, no, dude, this is good. Go get it.
Yeah.
It's great. They didn't care. I had not heard of it. They were just happy that somebody wanted to know what it was.
Sometimes the older guys would like get lost. Other times were like, "Come
Yeah.
on in and hang out." So yeah. All right, what do you got?
All right, next up. Still not going to show those yet. All right, next up. I did not have this record at this time. I knew who they were. Maybe I didn't really know who they were until a couple years later. But another Seattle band. This one here, Mudhoney.
Yes.
Every good boy deserves fudge.
I'm glad you have that one.
What's that?
I'm glad you have that and you're showing it. I don't have that.
Yeah. I thought you did have it.
I think I have a single, but I don't have that LP.
Yeah, you
Nope.
had the single. I'll send you one. I've got 3 of these, so all original.
All right.
And then they just did like a 30th anniversary reissue. Sub Pop did, so I got that. So I'll send you one of these.
Okay.
This is a great rock and roll record, man. Mudhoney, they're just a great band. They're just a great rock band. They don't take themselves super serious. They have very tight songwriting, right? It's I wouldn't call it pop punk, but I wouldn't even really call it punk, maybe with a hint, maybe the attitude, but they're just just a great noisy rock and roll band from that time. And they're still doing it today, right? The first Mudhoney tape I got was the one after this. I don't remember what it's called. It's a yellow and green cover, but anyways. So Mudhoney, yep. Every good boy deserves fudge.
1991. All right, I got a 2 for here. 1991. Some people were still hanging on to cassettes. I think by 91, I had finally purchased my first Discman. I saved up money cutting grass. I rode my bike that I bought with my own money to Service Merchandise and bought my Sony Discman.
Service Merchandise.
Service Merchandise. You walked in, you picked up a clipboard, and then you went shopping. You marked on your clipboard, and they pulled it straight from the back. That's a really cool concept for a store.
Yeah, I totally.
And then I'll show. I bought a CD that day too. I'll show that in just a little bit. But this is Haven. This is the original cassette, which I got in a VCLT / trade with Scott Waters. And then here is the reissue. So straight up thrash. I was trying to before. I was like, crap, I got to show this next. I forget where these guys are from. If they're from a East Coast thrash or if they're from Midwest or Southwest or not. But really killer thrash, very memorable. I highly recommend this if you're a thrash fan and you haven't picked this up yet. Pick this up. It is on retroactive. And then if you'll let me, John, I've got
do it.
Some books in the way here. But what I like to do is share my screen real quick. Let's see if this will work. If I can do like a share screen.
Share it, baby.
You have disabled participant. You got me locked out, my friend.
What?
So
hold on.
I was going to share my
screen.
Do it again.
Here Try it again.
Try it again. All right, share screen. All right, I'm good. I'm going to go ahead and share this website. I do want to credit and pull up some. There we go. You got it up?
Yep.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So
Scott Waters.
Yeah, Scott Waters. I really like his website. I've been referring to this website for a long time, so I do want to give a shout out of some sources here. If you go down through here and look, he's done incredible amount of CD reviews over the years. And if you look, I opened this up in another browser, but you could see all the ones I've clicked on my other browser. But so let's see if Haven's in here. I have yet to stump him. I think there's only been 1 or 2 bands that weren't in here. So anyway, let's see. Haven, probably in the HAs. Where are you? It's always a little
Right
harder
there.
to do this
There
when
you
you're
got it.
so there's their debut and their logo, and then here's their next one. So here it is. So let's see if he says where they come from. So Pennsylvania. So there you go, 1989 Pennsylvania. By 91, here's Age of Darkness, and so it's on retroactive and REX, the defunct REX, is what that cassette is. And then here's a review from Scott. So I do love this website. I refer to it often. And as we were going through here, some of the metal albums, including Wrathchild America 3D, which came out in 91, really enjoying going back and looking at his reviews through the years. So definitely check that out.
Yep, it's a good resource.
Absolutely. All right, what you got?
All right. Here's another band that I wish I would have known back then, but I didn't. I had heard of them, but I didn't bother to check them out until probably like 97 or 98, after I'd already graduated high school. But this was, I think they had 3 albums before this one, but this is My Bloody Valentine, Loveless.
Yes.
MBV. When I first discovered this record, I was like, man, I had never heard anything like that. It was like mesmerizing, just the massive sounds swirling around. I'm like, wow, how did I not catch this one back then? I was like, I remember this band, but I never thought anything of them. But maybe they were like a pop band or something. I don't know what I thought. But once I discovered that record in 97 or 98, it was like, wow, this is incredible. And then a couple of years ago, you have the same one. They repressed it this year, right? Because you got it like in the spring or something like that. But yeah, I got mine in 2018. I had an original that I sold, and then I sent one of mine to you, which was an unofficial copy, but it was a real copy. But anyways,
excellent album to get lost into. Yeah, thank goodness. Like I went into a different high school my senior year, which was kind of tough. But making new friends and getting new musical influences was, looking back, was crucial. I had friends like my friend, late friend Jason Morrison. He introduced me to like Morphine and all kinds of different bands and opening. I know you're going to show them a little bit later, but like Pixies and another friend at Sit and Study Hall, Rage Against the Machine, and then also the band Death and just some other stuff that was not on my radar. Right. Going into a new high school, getting these different influences and starting to open up and get out of my shell, get out of my comfort zone.
Right. No, that's a good point. A lot of us, Front 242. That was your first concert, right?
Yes. And then let's see. So Front 242, this is Tyranny for You. This is getting into electronica, EBM, beats per minute, that kind of thing. So this released in 1991. My brother was on leave from the Army, came and picked up his little brother, me, and my friend, and two friends went, and we went into the Newport, and this is my first major concert, and just the sound just blew me away.
But did you own this in 91 after that show?
No, absolutely not. This
actually
my brother bought this as a gift for me about 5 or 6 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He sent it to me as a gift. And then this reissue of live US concerts, I could be at one of these shows. I'm not sure. Just recently released, but yeah.
Do you remember what year that was?
91.
That he took you? Smart ass.
No, it was 91. It was October 1991.
You saw them in 91 with me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
wow.
My brother took my friend Andy on the back of his motorcycle, and I rode with my friend Mark. This CD comes with a couple stickers. I rode with my friend Mark in his car, and we're going to leave the rest of the details out. It was a memorable night. It was really cool, and I've been to Newport many times after that. But that was a really cool. My brother was so cool, right? He's in the Army. He's my older brother, influential with new wave music and first wave and alternative. He knows his
like late 80s alt stuff, man.
And I was really honored to be able to introduce you, and you got to meet him and get to know him there in Denver. So that was really cool.
I liked him, man. I mean, yeah, I did. I liked him a lot.
I mean, he turned me on to the Cocteau Twins, the Cult, Dead Can Dance. All of that whole world opened up a whole nother world to me outside of ZZ Top and Metallica and AC/DC. So
right, exactly. All right, my turn again.
Yes.
All right, I guess I'll show this one now. No, you know what? I'm not going to show that. I'll show this one now. So here's rap. First, we haven't shown any hip hop. So right here, we've got the Low End Theory, Tribe Called Quest. I didn't have the record back then, but I had the tape and the CD. I've always liked Tribe Called Quest. I'm not a big rap hip hop guy. I mean, I think everybody, depending on how old you are, but if you were, a teenager, at least in the late 80s or early 90s, if you weren't completely immersed in a different style, I mean, yeah, I think I maybe for 6 months, it's like, oh, I'm going to get NWA just to piss off my parents or, because it was, oh, they cuss in this and it's really vulgar. But for Tribe Called Quest, I always liked him. And then I started to like him even more, the older I got. And then when I got into jazz later, ended up studying that in college, I realized that the players on this record, even they toured with, these were like jazz musicians, a lot of times Blue Note musicians that they would hire, and then they'd be the band, right? They have maybe a turntablist, but there's a jazz band.
Instead of having the samples, you've got the jazz in there. So you got the whole creation of the pioneering the trip hop sound.
Yeah, for sure. So that's kind of, I always liked them. And I don't think they had a parental advisory sticker on the CD or tape. Maybe they did. I don't remember. But if my parents would have saw that back then, they'd be like, nope. So,
Oh yeah. You're talking in 91, if I'm only 16, 15 years old. Yeah.
I'm 14.
I would have room raids. And so my mom would come in, she'd discover tapes and CDs that were contraband.
Always found mine.
And then they would be either hidden or thrown in the trash. Luckily, I was the one that took the trash out. So when I went to take the trash out and I heard the plastic clinking together, but then she discovered those, and then she became more creative with how she.
I just started once I got a car to drive. I just started leaving that stuff in
everything
my car.
was in the car, right?
Yep. And they didn't. That was the only place they never went.
Yeah, look at the amazing evolution of music and all the different genres and the diversity. And of course, for me, it was Run DMC, Raising Hell, and then it was NWA, and then Public Enemy, and then you just had the whole storm come in. But we had like Rick Ross, we had anything that was humorous like Eazy-E, Too Short, and then of course it goes on and on. But then you had this whole world like where I had a friend from high school. Again, I'd spend the night with him. We'd watch Friday night videos, and there was different stuff on there. He liked Velvet DeVoe, Tribe Called Quest.
Were you guys watching Yo MTV Raps?
Yo MTV Raps would be on, right?
Yeah, they played some good videos at night.
It was Friday night videos in Arsenio Hall, and then I don't remember when Yo MTV Raps came, but I do remember catching some of that. And I don't remember thinking or having friends that were like, "Oh, I'm a metalhead. I don't, get that rap garbage out of here." We listened to any and all of it because it still had the same attitude. It still had the same attitude behind it. It still had the same rebellion and anti-establishment or whatever I was going for in metal.
Exactly.
I mean, look at Body Count. I know Body Count didn't have a 90. I was looking for sure. I thought it came out in 91.
Their first one was 92, right?
92 then. So I knew Body Count was about there. But I mean, if you take a look at Body Count's new stuff, it's some of the heaviest stuff I've ever heard. Great. But their
recent album that came out, their last two were great. They're great. I don't really agree with Ice-T's message, but as far as just being a heavy record, it's great.
All right, what is it? My turn or is it your turn?
No, your turn. Tribe Called Quest.
So Queen. Let's switch up a little bit with some pop, right? Innuendo. This was released while Freddie was alive because he passed away later this year. I thought that's right. That was 91, wasn't it? So early 90. Yeah, he passed away late 91. This was early 91.
Crazy.
I really liked Queen. I was a big Queen fan. I still am to this day. Freddie Mercury's voice is just fantastic. And then I had this on the double tape, right? This came out on the double tape, but this packaging is so nice. You got the Greatest Hits Volume 2 right here. But
are those the label reissues? Who did those?
Both more recent reissues. I have no idea. Hollywood Records. So
whoever did them, they did a great job. I have a couple of their recent reissues. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody likes Queen, right? I don't see there's something for everybody with Queen. There's hard rock and stuff. There's funky stuff.
The song Innuendo. Yeah, that song is fantastically produced and composed, and it's just I can just get lost. I can play this album front to back.
Yeah,
without even getting restless. Yeah. Love that. Love.
And it's Brian.
Love that.
You see the genius of Brian May, who doesn't really get, Freddie gets all the credit, obviously, great singer, but without Brian May, man, they wouldn't have been what they were.
That's the truth. All right, let's keep the momentum going. I'm having fun. This is pretty cool. I don't know if anybody's watching or not, but I'm having fun.
All right, this one, I did get it in 91, but I didn't get this until later. I think this came out in like August or July that year. So it was halfway.
I like the setup that you're doing. You're like doing this whole I'm going to set this up, and it's gonna be bringing the viewers in. They're going to be trying to guess what this is.
Yeah, I can't remember why. My God, I can't remember if I'd seen. Anyways, I'll show it. Pearl Jam 10, 91. This was released before Nevermind, like 2 months before. And I got it towards the end. I think I got it in like November or December, something like that. But yeah, I mean, what can you say about 10? I used to, and I don't really hear this much anymore. It's kind of gotten better as we've gotten older, but I used to just think this record sounded just dated because it still had some like late 80s, gated snare, gated reverb on the snare drum type of production because it's a big sounding record. But the songs are so good. All the songs. This is a great album from front to back. They're so good that I forget about the cheesy production. I really do. And I think this band really, in this record, I think they've aged better than some of their contemporaries in Seattle, like Nirvana, for example. I liked Nirvana more back then, but now, and really for most of my life now, I've been a much bigger Pearl Jam fan. And this record, still love it to this day. I can still listen to this, no problem. I could listen to this every week, at least once, no problem.
Really?
It's a great record, man.
I think that's saying something, but I love 10. It changed my life. Being an angsty teenager, right, late teens, but it just hit at the right time. It was fresh. It was new. Eddie Vedder was doing his vocal, the new kind of vocal style.
Yeah.
Plus, it was authentic. The lyrics were deeper and meaningful. And it was like, oh my gosh, there's so much to unpack here. The melodies, the songs.
Nobody wrote songs like that.
Gosh, they were just fantastic. And so, I was huge into it. And anytime the video was on MTV, I would just be glued to the
Even
TV.
Flow or Alive, right? Yeah. That was always a live shot. Did you have this tape or CD back in 91, or did you
absolutely.
Get into it later? You got it in 91?
Immediately. I don't know if it was the day it came out or anything, but I mean, as soon as it, Pearl Jam swept through I mean, everybody had it.
Eventually. Yeah, I've always loved this record. For a long time, I preferred Versus, their next one, but for what this is, I mean, it's a legendary record, right? And it gets better with age, in my opinion. Corey, I know what you're going for. Yes, that's a great record.
This one's really shiny. So
is that the Move one?
Yes, this is the MOV pressing. And then I was just reading in Survival of the Fittest that he wasn't really happy with this album.
Who was it? Tommy Victor, the main guy?
Tommy Victor. And I'll show another source.
Really?
I like this album. I thought it was just crushing. I think Prong is underrated overall and overlooked.
100%. This record, which came out before Cleansing, right, which is kind of when they got some mainstream success with Snap Your Fingers. But if you listen to the album before that, Beg to Differ in 1990 or 89, one of the two, that's a thrash metal record. This record here has some thrash, but it's kind of like a bridge record, in my opinion, that gets them to, Cleansing, basically, kind of that industrial sound.
And he kind of says that, and I love industrial. Like when Front 2 for 2 came out, and you had 9 Inch Nails, Pretty Hate Machine, Trent Reznor that year at Lollapalooza, the iconic.
Ministry.
You and I saw the induction into the Hall of Fame and the artwork with Trent Reznor, the life-size thing with this crazy keyboard and all the mud.
Covered in mud. That's right.
But big Catholic guilt, a lot of industrial stuff was there, and then also leaking into rock and metal, and that was a good example of it. I'm trying to find. So here I'll show another resource that I like, and you turned me on to this. I mean, I knew about book. Greg Prato, right? Anything that Greg Prato does, I enjoy.
I mean, he is super detailed. Some might not like how in depth he goes, but I appreciate that because I'm always left A lot of times with books like that, I'm always left wanting more. I don't feel that way with Greg. And that's a book you can read multiple times because I don't remember everything, but that's an excellent book. And he went straight to the artist for that.
Tommy Victor. I wasn't happy with it that much. Prove you wrong. I didn't like the way it was recorded. It was the wrong producer for the songs we were trying to do. Da 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 da. And he goes on to explain why he doesn't like it. But where else are you going to find comments from an album from 1991?
Yeah.
Without this, this is part of my arsenal of. And then
that's why Greg Prado is good, man. He goes to the source. He goes to the artist, and he's a excellent oral history writer, right? There you go.
And then switching over to Martin Popoff, I went right to the back of this book. Obviously, we read all three of these books. I highly recommend the series Behind the Thrash. But going straight to the back of this, they talk about 1991 and unpack it. They talk about the Black Album, Titans of
Clash of the Titans,
tour, and then they go into the Russia tour in Russia. So the Monsters of Rock. So
that was my first real concert, like hard, heavy concert. I always considered real. I didn't count like the Christian bands or going to like the Arvada Center. Is that from the box
set?
Yeah, that one's in the
box set. I think this is the first time on vinyl.
Yeah.
It's their whole set list from the Monsters of Rock in Russia, which is, I love that video.
I love the Pantera one.
Everybody loves Pantera.
I don't know who followed Pantera. I don't remember, but man, they tore it up. Nobody.
Pantera was on early. Everybody followed them because they played early.
Yeah, they were the opening band.
So tell me real quick about your Monsters of Rock. You saw them in Denver?
Yeah, so they're at Red Rocks. So the Clash of the Titans tour, and that was the first time I saw Alice in Chains. I didn't know anything about. I think maybe I had seen a video for like We Die Young. I thought I had heard of them. I was like, yeah, I think they're a Seattle band. They weren't really on my radar. I went with my buddy Dan. I was, of course, a huge Megadeth fan. I loved Anthrax, and I really loved Slayer after their 90 record, Seasons in the Abyss. Mm-hmm. And I was like, perfect, let's go. It was supposed to be Death Angel, who was going to be the opening act, but they got in that bus accident when they were on tour, which kind of derailed that part of their career.
So they were off. They did, because they had replaced their drummer, but they didn't do that until they finished the show out in Japan. So they were done for the US. They were completely taken off the tour, right? And that's how AIC came in.
Yeah. And then it was, I guess, Mustaine. He would go to towns they would play in, and he would sneak into some of these small clubs. He could blend in, and he would check out these bands. And that's how he saw them when they were in a show in Seattle. And he's like, let's bring these guys on. I think Dave was pretty instrumental in organizing that tour.
Yep. Well, and I remember he handed the album out to everybody to listen to.
Yeah. And they were like, whoa, this is awesome. Facelift. And all I remember, and it's really funny because I've heard Jerry Cantrell on numerous times mention this, but I just remember the Slayer fans where we were sitting, and we weren't all the way at the top. We weren't at the bottom, but they were just raining bottles and whatever they had. They'd go buy a beer.
No pun intended, raining bottles.
Alice in Chains. Because you're on a tour with Megadeth, Slayer, and Anthrax, and here's Alice in Chains doing something completely different. It's heavy, but it's different, right? These guys were not there for this band. They're there to catch Slayer or one of the other two bands, or all of those bands. But yeah, the people were just raining stuff down. Like, man, I kind of like this. These guys are good. What's going on? But I heard years later, Jerry, and I don't remember this, but they started, picking up and throwing stuff back at the fan. I guess Lane jumped down and got into a couple swings and hit a guy. I don't remember any of this from that. But there's that Red Rock show that I was at, and he said after the show they were walking out to their tour bus, where all the buses were, and there was a bunch of Slayer fans in a circle, after the show, drinking a beer, waiting for them. And Jerry's been like, oh, here we go. We're going to get our asses kicked. Let's get ready to fight, guys. And they walked up to him, and they're like, you know what, man? You guys are all right. You didn't wuss out when we were throwing stuff at you. You guys hung in there and gave us the middle finger. You know what? You guys are all right. It's like, wow.
I love that story. That's awesome.
Yeah. I wish I would have remembered that, but I don't. I don't remember fights. And They only played one
Dave
show. It was just that
Mustaine
show.
and other people on that tour said Alice in Chains completed every set, even though they were booing. They
Yep.
never shortened a set.
Never.
They never left a song out. They completed every show and they paid their dues. And some of the writers, some of those guys were saying, hey, this is kind of how they got their edge and kind of got their experience then.
Because the Alice in Chains always been that band. They go, we'll play for anybody. They went on tour with Extreme, right? Who they don't like that band, but they're like, okay, Extreme's a big band at this time, so I'm going to go on tour. We're going to get exposure to all of these people for Extreme, or whoever they're touring with, and that's how they looked at it. They're like, we don't care. We'll play tour with anyone, anywhere. We want people to hear our music.
Nobody really knew what to think of them at that time. Just like me, when I heard, We Die Young for the first time, I loved it, but you didn't know where they fit in.
But like a few months later, probably 3-4 months later, Man in the Box became a hit. And all those people who were, I guarantee, throwing bottles and rain and stuff, they all went out and bought Facelift.
They're all huge. I saw them. I saw them.
I loved them from the beginning. Like, no, you didn't.
I had a Cantrell I lobbed a beer bottle.
It was awesome. They threw like a jug of paint or something down. I guess it fell on Sean Kinney's drum kit. I don't know how they got back there, but it like hit the top of and he's just playing. I don't remember any of this from the show. I do remember the guys throwing stuff, but
the deal with paint, like Trent Reznor, all you had to deal with was mud. And we've got this paint, rain and paint.
The Nine Inch Nails shows, especially that time, heard Richard Patrick talk about it. They were violent. Like, I guess Trent Reznor would like try to fight with his own band. Like on stage. It's like, what?
Well, that kind of brings in the Trent Reznor
like Marilyn Manson thing. I know he did that too.
So let me show this.
Yep.
So you mentioned Seasons of the Abyss. So this is Living Sacrifice's debut album. I think these guys are from like Arkansas or something, but this is a reissue. It's matte finish. You can see there's no glare. This is a killer thrash album. It will always kind of be kind of known as sounding a little bit too much like Slayer. But Living Sacrifice, when they were coming out, these guys, there were some things that they were, a couple of them were under 18 and they had to sign like a parental affidavit to even go record this.
Interesting.
I think they were just talented musicians that loved the sound. And I think it came out a little bit heavy. Too much like Slayer. I mean, it definitely was some of the Kerry King type of solos. But when you play this today, maybe back then you're like, oh, I might as well just buy it, or I might as well listen to Slayer. But I think when listening to this now, it's kind of a nice take. It's a fresh take. And Living Sacrifice go on to change their sound. And I go on to enjoy a lot of their albums. But their debut album is really killer. If you like thrash, you like Slayer, go for that.
Yep, I second that.